When someone asks about your childhood and you just freeze, not because it was terrible, not because nothing happened, but because somewhere between the ages of 5 and 15, you skipped about 10 chapters. Yeah, that gap. That's what I want to talk about today. There's something that happens when the brain decides that remembering is more dangerous than forgetting. And I'm not talking about a dramatic movie worthy event. Sometimes it's quieter than that. It could be a parent whose mood you had to read before you could read books. It could be an unpredictable home where peace depended on your performance. It could be nothing you can point to, just a feeling that something wasn't right. Here's what doesn't get talked about enough. Those missing years, they're not empty because you have a bad memory. They're empty because your brain built a wall, and it built that wall to protect you. Let me explain what actually happens. There's a term for this. Psychologists call it dissociative amnesia, but that clinical term doesn't quite capture it, does it? It doesn't capture the feeling of looking at your own past and seeing fog instead of pictures. It doesn't capture the quiet panic when friends share childhood stories and you have nothing to offer but a blank stare. Most people can remember things from age 3 or 4. You, maybe 7, maybe 10, maybe nothing before high school. And you thought that was normal. You thought everyone forgot. But they don't, and that gap isn't empty by accident. Here's what research tells us. When a child experiences something too painful to hold, especially repeatedly, especially at home, the brain makes a choice, not a conscious choice, a survival choice. It takes those memories and locks them away, buries them deep, so the child can keep going to school, so they can pretend everything is fine, so they can survive. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote The Body Keeps the Score, found that traumatic memories aren't stored like normal memories. They're stored differently, fragmented, disorganized, often inaccessible to conscious recall. But, and this is crucial, they don't disappear. They just go underground, and they run your life from there. So, what does this actually look like in real life? You have no memories of your first day of school, no memory of learning to ride a bike, no memory of birthday parties before age 10. Your friends talk about childhood and you feel like an alien. You've been told you were such a quiet child or so mature for your age, but you don't remember being that child. You just remember nothing, or fragments, a snapshot with no context, a feeling, a smell, a sense of dread with no story attached. And here's the part that nobody warns you about. Just because you don't remember doesn't mean your body forgot. Your body remembers everything. The tension in your shoulders when someone raises their voice, the knot in your stomach during conflict, the way you freeze when someone is unpredictable, the nightmares you can't explain, the flash of panic when a situation feels familiar but you don't know why. That's your memory, just not the kind you can put into words. Psychologists call this implicit memory, memory that lives in your nervous system, in your reactions, in your body. You may not remember what happened, but your body is still living it every single day. Now, here's what's fascinating and also painful. The same brain that locked those memories away also shaped your personality around those gaps. You might be hyper independent because depending on others once wasn't safe. You might struggle with intimacy because being vulnerable was a luxury you couldn't afford. You might feel responsible for everyone's emotions because managing the emotional environment kept you safe. Those aren't flaws, they're adaptations. Your brain built them to protect you. And they worked, but they're also running on old software, and the threat is gone or changed. But your nervous system didn't get the memo. So what do you do with this? First, and this is important, do not go digging. Do not try to unlock what your brain locked for a reason. That's not healing. That's re-traumatizing. Your brain built those walls to keep you alive. Respect that. Second, you have to acknowledge that the gaps are there and that they're not your fault. You didn't forget because you're broken. You forgot because you survived. That's a very different sentence. Third, notice your body. When do you feel that unexplained dread? When does your throat close up? When do you want to disappear? Those reactions are your memories. They're trying to tell you something. Don't push them away. Just notice. Just say, oh, Something happened here. I don't remember what, but my body does. Fourth, and this is where healing actually starts, you work with someone who understands trauma and dissociation, a therapist. Not because you're weak, because your brain built these walls for a reason. Taking them down requires someone who knows how to do it safely, someone who won't rush you, someone who will let your memories come back at their own pace, if they come back at all. And here's something that might hit hard. You may never remember. And that's okay. Healing doesn't always mean remembering. Sometimes healing means accepting that you don't remember, and that your body has been carrying the weight alone for too long, and that you can start putting that weight down without ever knowing exactly where it came from. The cruel reality is that society doesn't ask about this. Society rewards people who are productive and independent and fine. Nobody asks what it cost you to become that way. Nobody asks about the gaps. Nobody says, hey, your childhood memories are missing. Are you okay? So I'm asking you now, are you okay? Not the answer you give to be polite, the real one. If you're still watching, I want you to hear this. Those missing years are not proof that you're broken. They're proof that you survived something, something too big for a child to hold, and your brain did exactly what it was supposed to do. It protected you, but you're not that child anymore. You're an adult now, and you don't need those walls in the same way. So be gentle with yourself, with your gaps, with your body, with the parts of your story you can't remember. They're not enemies, they're protectors. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to thank them and let them rest. You don't need to remember everything to heal. You just need to stop blaming yourself for forgetting. That child who survived, they did an incredible job keeping you alive. They were resourceful and strong and brave beyond measure. But they can rest now. It's safe to not know. It's safe to not remember. It's safe to just be. You've been holding on so tight for so long. What would it feel like to finally let go?